Hello, friendly neighborhood nerds. It's me, Robo Strange. Today I am kind of flying solo, but it's okay because I'm here with two awesome guests. We have Luxiva. You guys have known her from before when we did our a live show, who did the cloud that became Rye. Hello, Lux. How you doing?
Hello.
And we also here with Booty Crusader. On just for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to call her Booty from now on. Her request. Creator of Falling Hard on Webtoons. Hi, Booty.
Hello.
Good. So we did talk about Lux's book last time. And we'll probably have like a link or something just kind of magically appear like right around here or something. So Booty, tell us a little bit about your webtoon.
My Webtoon, I actually started around a year ago. This February or January, either one, was the first anniversary, which was very exciting.
Congrats.
I actually started it after a therapy session where I was told to find something to do with all my free time. And that became my comic, which I use for therapy and to tell a story that I've been thinking about for 10 years now.
Very nice, very nice. What's the premise? What is the story?
The premise is about basically a kind of really sweet demon prince that honestly doesn't even come across as a demon prince, who meets a very cool angel warrior. They sort of start crushing on each other right away, but they kind of get the romance kind of gets backtracked by a whole lot of shenanigans that starts happening around them.
That's pretty awesome.
It's gonna be a story about support. It's gonna be a story about abuse. It's gonna be a story about a whole lot of good things and a whole lot of bad things.
That's pretty good. I started reading it a little bit, and I did like what you had there. You got some, you kind of address gender norms in there, where the angel thought the prince was a female, and so there was that kind of like twist there at the end of the first couple episodes. I do see a lot of that, the abusiveness with the father and stuff like that. So this is great. I'm actually kind of hooked now, and so I was like, okay, I gotta put this down and get ready for the interview. So let me stop, but I will continue. It's great. So 68 episodes. I noticed that a lot of them, some of them were longer than others. There was even one where you had just 4 panels in there. Which I thought was actually awesome, because sometimes you come to a book and you have to fill up a whole episode, and it might be full of spoilers because like a publisher might want, no, I need this many pages, and it's like, wow, this one's boring. But it seems like you get to be as like efficient as you want. Like, I only want to tell this part, or I have a lot to tell, and each episode, you never know.
Actually, the reason for that is because I work in page format, so I only have a certain amount of room, and that one page actually that you just mentioned only has 3 panels.
Oh.
It's my shortest page.
I can count.
The first thing that happened when I posted that was that my mom came over and told me, hey, this is way too few panels. So I took an episode, which I had been planning to post like way later, like months and months later, with just a Q&A extra. And I posted that on the same day to kind of fill it up, because I felt really bad for just posting 3 panels that day. And after a while,
it worked.
Great. You may notice that once chapter 2 starts, I actually started posting longer updates, which is because I started making 2 pages a week instead of just the one that I did before. So every update after this is going to be a lot longer. And hopefully I get through a lot more.
Okay. All right. So the meat and potatoes of what we're kind of here to talk about is to tell the people who are watching a little bit about Webtoons and the potential for various formats and all of that. Whoever wants to start, tell people like what is Webtoons and what makes it special? How has this thing exploded so quickly?
Well, Lux, I think you're better for that since you actually follow the Webtoon format.
So Webtoon is kind kind of a new thing, not really, like it's really big in Asia and have been for a few years. It's like starting to really take off in America and worldwide right now. It's the idea of us reading comics on our phones or on our tablets and making it like scrollable, because it feels more natural to the reading experience on a phone screen, right? So most of us, or like the Webtoon website and most Webtoons are made vertically, so you scroll down and read, opposed to like go from page to page. But like different creators have different takes on it. There are creators who, like me, fully commits to the vertical format and make it like fully vertical. Like my comic, it would be a pain in the ass to transform it into a traditional page format, opposed to Booty, who makes her comic page format from the get-go, because she had the plans of like printing it, right? Other people make black and white, like manga kind of comics. Other people make 4-coma, which is like four panel short comics, usually comedy. Yeah, so it's a big world of very different takes on the same format.
I remember when I just started out, I actually got a question from someone who works in the same format as Lux does, how they can transfer their comic, which was completely vertical, into a print format. And I sadly had to break to them the news that that was going to be very difficult unless they went for a scroll as well.
Yeah, that was kind of what we were talking about, how we got to that idea that we talked about last time with the rolls, with the papyrus and all that. Because you know, when you kind of roll through that kind of works out. So the scrolling I felt was really nice. For one, it fits the whole phone thing, right? So you're scrolling through on your phone. But I thought it was pretty awesome how you can kind of bring certain elements of, especially surprise, right? So I feel like this works really well with horror. But you went with the page format, Booty. What made you decide that? Are you planning to bring this to print, or?
Well, yes, absolutely. But the thing is, before I actually started my comic, I was doing a comic course at an art school that was just completely focused on comics. And I also got like the fine art type comics, which, by the way, boring.
Nothing says excitement like fine art. So yes.
Right. So I already had all the basics down, because I actually had a different comic idea before I started this one. And I went to that art course to learn to make comics for that comic. And while I was there, I made the first 7 pages, which is like the first post that I ever made on there. I sketched them out, which was on paper, because back then I literally only worked on paper. And then like a year later, I actually started working them out digitally. And that's when I decided, you know what? It's all already in print format. Why not just keep going like this? And I can actually make physical copies of everything. That would be awesome. So that's actually kind of how it went. It just sort of all dominoed into this position.
Okay. If so, you're doing that for this story. If you have another story and you want to, do you think you'll ever try out the vertical format?
I might. I actually did have a cute idea for a shorter comic. That if I ever do have the time to work on it, then I'll probably try the more vertical format. Yeah.
The thing with Webtoons are when you start out, before you even like write down the page and make the thumbnails and sketches for it, you have to decide on yourself, like, what is my future plan for this comic? And you have to like weigh out the pros and cons. You can get both. You can make like a very vertical format by making each panel like boxed in, like you would in a traditional page, and then you like stack them on top of each other vertically. Then you could just take those panels and fit into a page, where if you choose to like fully commit, as I did, you also have to like have a conversation with yourself about like, well, I'm committing myself to a screen experience only, and I just have to like be fully like sure with myself, like I'm okay with this never being like a traditional printed comic.
Mm.
And for
Yeah.
me, I love the webtoon format. I was reading some webtoons that are like beautiful when you scroll
Like solo
down, and it's really
leveling.
satisfying. It's a really cool experience, and I actually wanted to make this comic like that kind of experience. You know, it's a
Mhm.
long piece of artwork more than it's like a boxed in comic, right? So it's a decision you have to make with yourself about like, are you going to limit yourself to like, this is the only thing it's going to be, or do you want something else with it?
So something about that is there's actually two ways of doing horror comics, which is physical. You'd have Junji Ito's way of doing the page turn, where basically you have to force the reader to turn the page themselves, and they actually experience the horror because they have to do it themselves. It's a physical choice that they make. But
Mhm.
with web comics, they can actually force you to scroll down, like the Bong Chang Dong ghost story does that, where there's actually a script inside the comic that forcibly scrolls you down with a sound effect that's actually a jump scare.
Oh,
And
wow.
I do not recommend reading that in the dark.
And this is on
Because
Webtoons, the app?
I think it is. If you Google the Bong Chang Dong ghost,
Yeah.
you actually get the story and you can just read it instantly. And
Oh,
I
wow.
think
That
it's
it is
sounds
one of the
awesome.
first
horrifying.
it's one of the first worldwide famous scrolling format comics like that got kind of mainstream again
Yeah,
because of the jump scare element, that it's kind of like if you get to a certain point, it will like it kind of looks like an animation where she's like, okay, spoiler alert, she's like turning her head or something with a sound.
it
um
makes like a sound.
Right. So it's not really like scrolling. It's scrolling so fast that it looks like an animation. So
Ah.
it's really creepy, and it got like really mainstream big. I remember PewDiePie back in like 2012 or something,
Mhm.
reading it, and it went really viral. I think that's the first time like the Western world was like exposed to a vertical format comic, as like in a mainstream sense, you know.
Yeah. That sounds absolutely horrifying, and I will read it, and I will read it in the dark
I highly
because
recommend it.
I like to be tortured like that. Apparently,
Excellent,
Make
me
sure
that
to
too.
record it, it's good content.
The first time
yeah.
I actually read it, I accidentally pressed the end key on my keyboard, so I already went to the bottom of the page. So I
uh
heard like 7 noises at the same time, and then I started scrolling upwards, so nothing worked.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I would like I would jump, I would change my pants and then go back to reading, and yeah, I mean that's the way it goes. So
I certainly hope
um
so.
so what are some so there's one of the conversations that I know is being had right now is regarding the future of comics in general. And when I look at the views that are some of these stories are getting, it's amazing. You already said, Lux, earlier, this is really big in Asian countries, and it's now spreading. Do you guys think that this is the future of comic books? I mean, if we fast forward 10, 15 years, is
I
digital
definitely do.
mhm.
I
Like,
So
think they will
that
yep.
coexist, in a sense that there will always be desire for the physical format. People will
Yeah,
always love having something in their hands. Maybe they will not read it in their hands. Some people have like love, um you know, turning the pages and read it like
mhm,
traditionally. Some people
mhm,
have it for like nostalgia value. It's kind of like we're still buying a CD or a music album, even though you can listen to your favorite songs and buy them like song by song on iTunes, you know. There will always be a demand for physical copies of something. I think they will coexist in a way that comics that are planned out to be printed, kind of like booties. I think, especially in Asia, they're already doing this, where a lot of mangas or other comics, they will make them in print format, but they will also make a vertical version where they, as I said before, stack the panels on top of each other for a vertical experience. So you can buy it online, kind of like iTunes and music, but you can also buy them as books. There are also like very famous Webtoons who are now printing physical copies because they got so popular. So I think they will coexist. There will be a demand for both.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like the e-reader and the book type thing. Basically, people who use the e-reader just want convenience. And the people who want books want the actual experience of the book.
So before we wrap up, for anybody who has not tried out a Webtoon, do you guys, besides your own, because we will definitely have links in the description to each one of the stories out there, Falling Hard and The Cloud That Became Rye. But outside of those two, if somebody were to start a Webtoon and wants to try to give it a try, do you guys have a favorite one to go to? What really embodies the Webtoon, your favorite?
For me, that would be either be Suitor Armor or Solo Leveling. They're both like really popular mainstream ones, which I know I should be doing some Canvas comic right now. But if we're talking about actually starting to read them, I think those two are your best bets, because Suitor Armor has a really cool fantasy story about an undercover, quote unquote, undercover fairy girl living amongst humans who somehow begins catching feelings and causing a giant suit of empty armor to catch feelings for her. And it's actually really cute. But if you're more of the action type, then Solo Leveling is fantastic because it has probably the most beautiful art I have ever seen in a Webtoon, as well as a really cool story. It's very power level-y, which you either love or you hate. But this one actually does it fairly well because there's actually story around it instead of that being the story. So those are the two I recommend: Solo Leveling and Suitor Armor.
Okay.
I will recommend a comic, a Chinese comic. It is the comic that actually sold the vertical format to me. Before that, I was like, oh, this is convenient, but it's pretty much like reading any other comic, right? But this specific comic really pushes what you are able to do visually with the vertical format. It's called Heaven Official's Blessing. It will come out in an animated adaptation on Netflix the 9th of April.
Oh, wow.
But the comic is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. The art is beautiful and like breathtaking, and the artist uses a vertical format in such a creative and smart way. Like every single episode, she always amazes me with a new, really creative way to like split up the panels, and I'm really inspired by how she does it. And like you can see some of it in my own comic. I'm really trying hard to find creative ways to break the different the different panels, but she does it so beautifully. Like I will recommend everyone to like check it out. Just the visuals are amazing. If you really want to see what you can really do and use the vertical format to the full potential, this is a comic to read.
Okay, well, that is it. Ladies and gentlemen and NBs, that is the end of our show. Thank you so much, Luxiva and Booty Crusader, for coming on. Don't forget to check out their work. Again, links in the description below. Check out Falling Hard and The Cloud That Became Rye. Again, Lux, Booty Crusader, thank you so much for joining us. Any last words?
It was fun to be here and go stand my couple.
That's right. All right, everybody.
Her
Don't forget
comic
to
is
wash your hands.
amazing. The art is gorgeous. So you should
Thank
all
you.
check it out.
That is exactly accurate. I loved it. I'm already hooked. Don't forget, wash your hands, wear your masks still, and also if you're in a country that's dumb and still needs it, and don't forget to go get vaccinated. And take care. Bye.
Bye.
If you want to hear interviews from industry pros, get first looks, and have access to endless comic content, wake up. Please wake up. You're in a coma. Your mother misses you.